All right, fam, good morning. Hope that you're enjoying your weekend. Let's get down to business real quick. There's something I want to convey to you this morning about the power of ideas and the power of question. Now, what's important about ideas is that when ideas are actually espoused, they can become tools for change. They can become tools for, your life taking on different meaning, and you go in different directions from what you may have been, doing in your life previously. Well, ideas and their power can move people to do things to one another for their good and to one another to other people's detriment. Now, why is it important to know what ideas are and to really understand what the breadth and depth of what these ideas actually mean? Well, to investigate and to critically think through what someone or you yourself believe, it really shows not only your own integrity, but it shows that you have the ability to really question yourself and what you may be thinking, whether it's helpful, hurtful to yourself or others, but also if it's really sane or not. Okay, because there's some ideas out there that I'm seeing that aren't sane, and they really are not good for society, for family, or for yourselves. And this is what I try to present. I try to present an alternative to some of the ideas that are put out there that are supposedly like good for everyone. So ideas out there like, critical race theory, black liberation theology, socialism, Marxism, communism. These are supposed to be ideas that are good for societies, that are good for people. But when these ideas are played out to their fullest, you see that they're actually very destructive. But they're also still espoused by people who have an idea that they can do them better. And that's where you have the ego land in the place of real humility. Are you humble enough to just ask a question? Am I thinking through this correctly? Am I really asking some really hard questions about the history of these things? And do these things really equate to what I believe to be right for people? Well, if you are truly a thinking person, at least a little bit humble in the way that you conduct yourself, you'll realize that there are things that are out there that you may be thinking that are not good and can hurt you. So you evaluate your ideas, you evaluate your stances, you do a little bit of critical thinking about the methods and means in which you live your life. And if you're doing things that are turning out to be harmful to you, you make changes. But that's where the power of question is. Are you willing to question what you believe so that you become a better person, so that you live life in a different way, you have a different perspective on life and maybe a little healthier? Are you willing to just question? Because believe me, there's a lot of folks out there that don't understand why it is the things are happening in this world right now. And I'm telling you right now, there's more people who are really thinking through their ideas of the non-existence of God to what they're seeing people that are willing to do to one another because they have that idea that they don't believe God exists. And which is nuts, actually, if you think about it. The Darwinian evolution theory, because evolution's still a theory, okay? But people espouse it as the truth, and it's not the truth, it's just a theory. It's playing out in a way that people are seeing that the survival of the fittest, or social Darwinism, is actually coming into play, and it's coming into play right in your neighborhoods. Because these folks who are doing the things that they're doing to people, they don't believe that there's anything out there besides themselves. And they don't believe that there's anything out there that's really going to judge their actions. They think that they have the ability to judge others based off of their own ideas and concepts of life. And why do you need to know what these people believe? Because if you don't know the why behind a person, you will never get what it is that they're doing. You'll never get why they'll go to a restaurant and interrupt somebody's dinner and yell Black Lives Matter and interrupt people and hurt people and actually shoot and kill people in the way that they do it, because they've got an idea in their head that's purely unhealthy. So you need to understand that, okay? You need to get in you need to understand that the intrinsic properties that come from five words, okay? 5 words In the beginning, God created. Those are 5 words that are the essence of our Declaration of Independence, of our Bill of Rights, but they also are the words that people challenge about the existence of God, which leads to the untethering of freedom. Western civilization and what we know to be freedom is being challenged right now by socialism, communism, and Marxism. But you need to understand that these ideas, they're not tethered in anything besides a humanistic perspective and a humanistic point of view, where nothing outside of the physical is taken into account. The spiritual isn't there. But what I said before, the reason why people are really questioning their ideas about God right now is because they're seeing an evil come out of people that cannot be in any way, shape, or form explained naturally. And that's where you need to understand what it means to be alive right now. You're seeing folks really question what's happening in the world because it doesn't make sense for folks to treat one another the way that they're treating each other if something else isn't going on. If something else isn't there and really driving these people's acts in how they're treating one another. So the power in the question and the power of the idea, they will drive you to understand there's more to this than meets the eye. And if you're willing to ask the question, if you're willing to engage your ideas as whether they are healthy or not, you will be a different person, and you'll be able to look into things in a better way and see life in a whole different perspective. Now, I'm saying this to you today because right now I'm going through a process with myself where I'm investigating some things that I've always wondered. And so I've got my homework for myself this weekend, which I'm really, really diving into. And I'm also wanting to just engage you about something that's actually happening on the low right now. If you want to look up a woman, her name is Rosa Brooks. Rosa Brooks wrote an article talking about what the election will look like in these kind of war games. It's important to kind of know this stuff just so that you know what's on the horizon and how people actually are thinking. And I'm also looking through some things with Darwin's theories and the like. But I want to know, so I'm asking questions. And you as a person, you have the ability to ask questions, but you also have the ability to just like kind of let it go by the wayside and not really know what freedom means, not really know what totalitarian or authoritarian or socialism or communism means. You can just basically think the words are bad words, but you not know what they actually mean. You need to know the meanings. You need to ask the question, and you need to address these things logically, step by step. Because if you do, you'll know what's really going on, and you'll really see what's happening behind the eyes of the people who are committing these atrocities to other people within this nation and across the world. There's a whole lot of people right now that are asking way more questions about COVID across the world and how people are loving one another or caring about each other in other societies. They're doing so in a way that's completely, really, really interesting. But you just have to ask the questions like they're asking questions, like I ask questions, okay? So that's what I just want to drop off today. Ask the questions about what Black liberation theology is. Ask the questions about liberation theology and critical race theory. What happened today in that executive order is highly important, okay, for everyone. This isn't something that just involves white people. This is something that involves American freedom and the ideals of liberty. This is what that means, and you need to know that. But if you're not willing to explore it and really engage it and just kind of think, oh, it'll just kind of go away, this stuff will creep up on and bite your ass like you'll never expect. You're seeing it right now in our society. People need to know these things because the folks on the couch right now are getting a freaking crash course lesson in what it means to be subjugated by people who have really bad intentions. So all those people on TV who are doing some crazy freaking things, they believe some stuff that's wild. And you need to know what those things actually are. Enjoy your weekend.